Do you like the look of the Wyze Cam Pan, but wish it had more cameras? Then you're in luck, because that's exactly what Wyze did for the Wyze Duo Cam Pan. I'll be going over everything from hardware and setup to what you can do in the application and a battery of real-world testing. I'm Wanderer 001. We have a lot to cover, so let's get into it. Wyze has managed to pack a lot of camera into a very small package, being only 5.26 inches tall with a depth and width, since this is a cube, of 2.36 inches and 2.16 inches. The resolution for both cameras is actually the same at 2304 by 1296. So that's going to be for your PTZ as well as your stationary camera. Where things start to differ a little bit is the field of view. Your PTZ camera has a field of view of 56.5 degrees, while your stationary camera has a 106 degree field of view. But what the PTZ camera has is a motion range of 360 degrees horizontal with 180 degrees vertical. And I will say it does a pretty good job of looking up at faces, which is something a lot of cameras seem to have a problem with. The FPS that you will get from both cameras is 20 FPS during the day and 15 FPS at night, whether you're using the IR light or the LEDs. Speaking of, at the top, you have a set of two 850 nanometer IR lights, and our stationary camera also has the same two 850 nanometer IR lights. You'll also see two LED nodes on the top and bottom, giving 80 lumens each for the camera to use when it's dark. You also have a microphone as well as a camera status light on the front, and then another microphone there because sometimes you could have the cameras facing two different directions. So having a microphone on each is useful. As we come around to the back, we can see we have our speaker on the lower portion, as well as a short weatherproof pigtail USB-C connector port. There is a very, very deep channel of rubber around this to help keep the elements out. As we flip things over and come take a look at the bottom, we have our rubber footy right here. So if you're going to use this inside, it does a decent job of giving stability to the base, but you can see it does wobble quite a bit because it's a small footprint. You do also have mounting holes right there if you were to put this up, and you'll notice it does ratchet. So it does have presets, and then you can kind of turn things around. As we look at the underside here, we have our setup button, as well as our port for our micro SD card, and you can have up to a 512 gigabyte micro SD card. If you want cloud storage, you are going to have to pay for a Wyze subscription. Now, as we look at the base itself, you'll notice that unlike other pan-tilt cameras, this is not the part that is rotating. There actually is an arm that rotates the top camera as opposed to either rotating the entire camera or just the base. So this is interesting as a design feature because it really just looks like they stuck two cameras on top of each other with a little L-shaped bracket. The camera operates over the 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi spectrum, however, has been upgraded to Wi-Fi 6, which is a welcome addition to a camera that you're going to be having in your smart home. It also has Bluetooth 5.0, however, that is just for setup of the device. The dual cam here does have an IP rating of 65 because yes, this is not just an indoor camera. This can be used outdoors. That's why it has this extra weather stripping. And while I might have used it indoors for my testing, it is perfectly capable of functioning outside. It also has an operating temperature of -4 to 113 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's a pretty decent swath for the camera. For your voice assistants, it supports Alexa, Google Home, and IFTTT. But now that we've looked at the camera and some general specs, what's next? The camera's not the only thing that we get. Let's take a look at what else we get in the box with it. Quick start guide. We have a drilling guide. Does actually feel like it's a sticker, so that's good. Coming over to our box, we have our power brick, screws and anchors, USB-C to USB-A flat cable mounting. So how you screw that in, the camera itself. Now that we've seen everything that we get in the box, What's next? Well, this is a smart device. That means there's going to be a setup process. Let me show you what that was like. First things first, we're going to get things plugged in. You really have to get that in there. But now that we have it plugged in, we're going to hit the plus sign in the Wyze app. We're going to select add a device. This is a camera. This is a pan tilt camera. Here's our Duo. So we did plug it in because it's starting to move around on its own. After a great deal of fiddling, there's a solid red light. We're going to hit next. Now we come down to the bottom and press the setup button.
Ready to connect.
I hear it saying ready to connect. It's going to search for the device. So we're going to give that a minute.
Ready to connect.
So it wants to know what network to connect to. It really doesn't like my 2.4 gigahertz. It likes the 5 gigahertz.
Ready to connect.
But this is the one that I had saved. So we're going to force it to connect to that one.
To network.
Because that is my IoT network. So it says connecting to network. It's flashing red and blue over there.
Wi-Fi connected.
Says Wi-Fi connected.
Setup complete.
Adds it to Alex A. We can begin the mounting or we can skip. If you select begin mounting, it's going to walk you through how you're going to set this up. So keep in mind you're going to use that mounting plate. And you can see it's already trying to track me. So we're going to skip for now. We're just going to give it the very fancy name of Wyze Duo Cam Pan. And then from here, you have free, which is event capture and motion alerts, or you have a 30-day free trial of Cam Plus, which gives you cloud recording, person, pet, and vehicle detection, as well as AI detection. I'll be starting off with that, so I don't forget about that, because I do have a Cam Plus subscription that I can move over to it. Just know you will be severely limiting this camera if you don't use their subscription, and it's letting you know. Now we can create a device group, we can share this device, or we can automate our device. I don't want to do any of that right now, so we're just going to hit finish. There is an update, so make sure you hit your update and just let it do its thing, and then we'll come back after the update. We got a firmware updated successfully. Notice now it's spinning around, so we're just going to hit done, and it's kind of giving you a walkthrough of everything you can do with the camera. You can see it's got the live feed going in the background, which is good. We're just going to hit let's get started, and that completes setup. With setup out of the way, we move on to all the things that you want to use this camera for. Monitoring, tracking of people and pets. That's all done in the application. Let's take a look. Here we can see it's listed on my main homepage with all of my other Wyze cameras. And there we can see it is going to show me a live feed on this main homepage here. And I have the option to turn on and off this camera, which is pretty much just a quick toggle for privacy mode. And you can see it's got the little live icon there letting you know that you're actually seeing a live feed. And then I also currently have my Wyze subscription on this instead of my front doorbell, so that I could show you some of the differences between paid services and non-paid services with this camera. We're going to tap on it and give it a second to open up. And we have our two different views. We have our PTZ view up at the top, and then the bottom is our stationary. Not greatly placed for this, and the lighting's a little weird. I turned on some things to try and make it a little easier to see in the live feed. But over here we can see 2K. If I tap on that, I can change it to HD, 360, or auto, which will change based on your connectivity and so forth. We're going to put it back to 2K. It's showing us that it is live at the top. And then we have the ability to, if I select this, go into full screen mode, and then you'll notice that we can tap to change the view. Now, I understand that in this particular view, it's a little tricky to tell which is actually which, but if you look down here, when you're in your PTZ, you have the ability to hit the PTZ controls right there. If I tap on my double box, I can have them side by side if I wanted to, or I can do picture in picture, which is what we were looking at before. PTZ controls, if we want to bring them up right there, turn them off. We've got our 3 dots that will pretty much bring up all the extra options, which we're going to talk about momentarily. And then right here, we can bring up our timeline view. For that, we're going to bring it back to the main view, and we're going to come down. Now, tapping once again, you could see there are some extra icons that I wish would stay up a little longer. First and foremost is our LED light. Now, we can turn this on for each individual camera. Now, this is a little tricky to see right now, but I'll put in a clip of this actually working in practice. But I like the fact that they allow you to turn that on and off per camera instead of treating this as a single view. We have to the right of that our microphone. This will turn on our microphone, which will now allow, in my case, my cat to hear me. I can turn on and off the audio, and I can toggle on and off the microphone from this up here. This is very touchy. I wish it wasn't so, but that is what it is. Coming down, our first and foremost is actually events. If I select this, this is going to bring up this timeline view of the camera feed. Now, I'm going to show you right here, maybe not that one, don't like that one. I'm going to show you this feed here. This is letting me know, if I want to, I can zoom in on that, that this detected a person. Now, the problem with this is these detections for people or pets is only going to be if you have a Wyze subscription. If I pause that, you will also only be able to speed this up to 4 times if you have the subscription. If you don't have the subscription, then you're going to get these, which are just motion events that show you, hey, something happened, but you're actually going to have to go into the SD card, find the timestamp, and grab it. We have our all events if we wanted to do that. I'm going to come back to this one here, because if we have, pausing, if we have a detected event and it's recorded, I can either check the SD card, I can download this, I can share this, I can delete it, I swipe, and I can give feedback. I also have the ability to go live, or if I don't like this view, I can change the view. So instead of the timeline, it's more of this bulleted view here. I can change it back. We can also filter for what we're looking for. In my case, I could look for person, package, vehicle, pet, but this is inside at the moment. I can look for sounds. Now, everything other than motion or sound is going to be something that you have to have a Wyze subscription for. They kind of demark it by changing the color. So I want you to be aware of that. If you don't have the Wyze subscription, you're going to be left with these triggered events like this, and then have to go and find it on the SD card. Speaking of our SD card, that is our next option to the right. If I select that, this is going to show us our 24/7 recording. So right there, I can see there are 3 events in this recorded time frame. I can scrub through my recording like this. If I tap on my events, it will show me, well, here it detected a person, right? Say there I am. I can pause that and I can take a snapshot of whatever's going on screen. If I press play, take a snap, I can record, meaning whatever it's going to see there, it's going to record it. I can stop the recording. And then from here, I can access the album. In this view, I also have the ability to change my date. So here you can see anything that has a white dot under it indicates that there is a action or recording that I can look at. And just like before, we can select our filters to narrow down what we happen to be searching for. Coming back, we have our waypoint. Now, right now, I don't have any waypoints set up. So if we wanted to, we're going to hit our edit and we're going to set up waypoints. So this is going to be my first waypoint. This one over here is going to be we'll make that my second waypoint. I'll bring it back to here. I'll set that as my waypoint. And then I'm going to select my third waypoint, which I should move the camera before doing so, and then hit set. And there we go. And if I come here, I can select that as my home. You can see it's denoted as such there. And then we've got some waypoints and we're just going to hit done. And now I can calibrate the camera if I want to, and it's going to spin it around to make sure that it's absolutely centered. And I'm going to bring it back around to what I want to be the home. And we're going to hit X. So those are our waypoints. So these are kind of quick travel spots where I can kind of move around without having to actively use the directional pad there, which we'll talk about a little later. Coming over to the right, we have our photo. If I take a photo, this is going to take a picture of whatever happens to be on screen as a still frame. I can hit record. And again, this is more interesting if I could get something to move through frame. We're going to hit stop. Now that's saving the recording. We have our siren. We're going to swipe that to the right. We have our smart track. So that's if a person or a pet wanders through frame, that it will smart track them. Now this will work for motion if you do not have a Cam Plus subscription. To the right of that, we have pan scan. You do need to have waypoints set up for pan scan to actually work. If you don't, it's just going to sit there. Within our pan scan settings, I can set up a schedule, a start time and an end time, and then days of the week, and then it will cycle through all the waypoints that we have, stopping for 20 seconds before moving to the next. So this is really a true scanning as opposed to some that will move, stay there for an hour, move, and stay there. This is going to constantly be moving around. To the right of that, we have our album. We have access to our photos, videos, and so forth. And then if we swipe over more, we have time lapse, which you can set up a time lapse. So you can set a start time, duration, and then view album once you get it all situated. And then we have a quick toggle for turn off, which actually isn't turning off. It's more putting the camera into privacy mode. We do have our directional controls right here. There we can see I've got my cat wandering in. She's probably wondering where her food is, but these are our pan tilt controls, easily accessible no matter what screen we're on right here. And that has been all the controls. We're going to come up to the top and select our settings. From here, we can adjust our name. We can come down here and select detection settings. Now, notice we have pan and fixed, meaning we can change this for both the cameras. So first and foremost, we're looking at our pan. We can select our detection zones. Right now I have that off, but we can turn this on and you'll get a grid. Now, the one problem with a detection zone on a moving camera is that the detection zone will also move with you. So problematic. Motion tagging is the green box that you saw around me when I was showing you the footage before. Motion detection sensitivity, you've got a sliding scale from 1 to 10. Sound sensitivity, similar, 1 to 10. And then we can come up to our fixed and we can do the exact same thing. Underneath that, we have our motion warning on or off. If we turn this on, you can select a motion warning sound. You are being recorded, or the Wyze tone.
Hi, you are currently being recorded.
It can repeat anywhere from 10 seconds up to 60, or just do it once per event. And then schedule, you can do always or a custom where you can set your specific time and date. For where I have this, we're just going to turn that off and then come down. We have our sound detection sensitivity, 1 to 10, low to high. And then you have the same exact for your fixed camera, allowing you to have individual settings for both, which is great. Event recordings, if we come in here, you've got motion recordings or sound. You can do all events or smart events only, and then customize your recording. Now, smart events is only going to be if you pay for a Wyze subscription. Likewise, coming into the customized recording, you only get these if you have a Wyze subscription. Notice friendly faces, I have to have a better Wyze subscription than I have in order to get that. If you don't have any of this, you just get recordings for motion and sound events. That's it. Coming back, we have our micro SD card. Turn that on or off for localized storage. You have continuous recording or events only. I recommend doing continuous because it's a powered device. Might as well. You have format, which will erase everything, but also set your SD card so it's ready to be used. And then you can see here how much actual recording space you have, and then properly eject your micro SD card at the bottom. Under that, we have notifications. You can turn on and off your notifications and then what you want. So events, I can select manage, and keep in mind, again, only because I have a Wyze subscription, can I choose person, pet, vehicle. If you don't have this, you just have motion and sound. That's it. But you can choose to record and then to notify, or vice versa, maybe just record and don't send a notification. I'm going to turn that off for the moment. We're coming down to our pan controls. Here we have the rate at which it will rotate, slow to fast, and then pan scan. Turning this on, just like we had in the other location, would set up a schedule for your panning as well as another access point for your calibration. Coming down, we have alarm settings. We have our smoke alarm and our CO alarm. These are not actually built into the camera itself. What it will do is it listens for the universal tone for a smoke detector and a CO alarm, letting you know if it hears those. So if you have this in a central location where those could be useful to have. Coming down, we have our spotlight settings. Again, we can do pan or fixed. We could do brightness of low and high. And then we have spotlight controls. Auto, which the light will be turned on when it's dark, or manual, which will allow you to set up a schedule for when that goes off. But we're going to come back over here and then notice that our spotlight controls, when they're on auto, give us the ability to do it for all motion, for smart detected events. And again, notice you have to have the paid service, but you can come in here and select what you want this to turn the LEDs on for. Person, pet, or vehicle, how long it's on for, 15 seconds all the way up to 5 minutes. And you have a schedule of sunrise to sunset, or you can set specific times that you'd like that to occur. Coming down, we have our advanced settings. Again, notice pan and fixed. We can turn on our night vision, so auto on or off, what type, night vision conditions, so dark or dusk, which is just low light, what would you like to happen? Night vision, in this case, the IR lights. Do you want to have your status light on or off? Rotate image 180 degrees. So if you have this mounted upside down, you could flip it around, show timestamp, show Wyze logo, and record sound. So if you live in an area that does not allow you to record sound, this is how you can turn it off. And then sync your time with your phone. Coming down, we have accessories, lamp socket V2. You could link this up to that if you had that accessory. I don't. We have automations, which is Wyze's if this then that service. It's there. If you have other Wyze devices, that's more useful. Sharing, you can share this with somebody else. They need to have their own Wyze account and an email address that you can send it to. Device info, lots of sensitive information in there, so I won't be showing you that. Mounting guide, similarly to how they showed you when you were first setting it up, so you can pick if you need to go back and see that. Wyze support, do you need to access Wyze support? You have help center, begin troubleshooting, or submit logs, or it will gather logs from your camera. We have restart the camera, reset the camera, and delete this device from your Wyze account. And that has been everything that we can do for the Wyze Duo Cam Pan in the Wyze app. Now that we have a firm grasp on what this camera can and can't do in the app, what's next? Well, for me, I like to do testing. And because this is a powered camera, this is not a battery camera, the first test I like to do is power usage. Starting off, when the camera is idling, meaning it's plugged in, connected to your Wi-Fi, but it's in privacy mode, it uses 2.5 watts of power. When it's on and not actively tracking anybody, it uses 2.6 watts of power. When it's on and tracking somebody, it can use between 4.3 to 5 watts of power. Using the IR lights on both, it uses 3.2 watts of power. Using the IR on both cameras while tracking uses 6.7 watts of power. The LEDs at full, turned on for both, will use 7.1 watt of power. Now, I realize that that's a lot higher than some of the other wattages that I had mentioned. However, keep in mind, the LEDs generally come on only if it has detected somebody. So this is not going to be using that level of power all the time. Now that we know how much power it uses, let's move on to functionality. I like to start those tests off with audio. Let's take a listen.
Sally sells seashells by the seashore. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Test 1, test 2, test 3, and test. Sally sells seashells by the seashore. Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. Test 1, test 2, test 3, and test.
Siren test. One other audio facet that you might not have considered, because this is a PTZ camera, is actually motion sound. Do you hear the motors in the camera as it's pan tilting while you're standing next to it? And in video, let me show you what that's like. There's a slight noise that you can hear in a very quiet room.
Motor sound test. See if it makes any noise while it follows me around. Things I do for test. 1, 2, 1, 2. Test, test. 1, 2.
Moving on, we have detection speed. This camera utilizes a power source. That means it uses pixel-based detection, so it compares frames in your image to decide if it sees something. Let me show you those tests. This will be a notification speed test on 5G. This is a pixel-based system, so it should catch me pretty much as I round that corner there. We're going to do this 2 times, first being with just motion detection and the non-paid services, and then we will do it again with the person detection. See if there's any difference. So here we go, around the corner. I'm going to start that. Giving it a second. It should be seeing me. 7 seconds for motion detection without its paid service. Not great. This will be attempt number 2, still 5G, but now we have the Wyze paid services. So 1, no cooldown, and 2, should be able to pick me up with a person detection, not just motion. So around the corner, just like we did last time. Honestly, the person detection was longer at 8 seconds. We change it so that that pans up to follow me, see if it does anything. All right, notification speed test for the Wyze Duo Cam Pan 5G with the subscription service, but now it will pan up to follow a person. So here we go, around the corner. I can see it's looking at me. It's taking a bit to send the notification though. Yeah, it's like 8 to 9 seconds. Not what I was expecting. Moving on, we have video. What I will say, in the right-hand corner there, I will have a link where you can view raw video samples as they will be downscaled to 1080 in this particular video. An example, smart tracking turned on. There's a cat down there that you can probably see in the secondary. Daylight example, smart tracking turned on. There's a cat down there that you can probably see in the secondary camera. Bring the tracking turned off. Then we'll turn the tracking on, run the same loop. Kind of come over this way, up over here. Yeah, green box. Okay. Walk this way. Excuse me. There we go. It's returned to center point. And now it's following me. See if it's up over here. Yeah, green box. Okay. Walk this way. Okay. Try and do this in the dark. Much harder than I remember. Center now. Kind of see me. There we go. Up this way. It's returning to center now. Kind of see me. There we go. Those LED lights. All the way up, kind of tilted down, not tracking, is recording. Doing this different day, so give you an idea. Like it's on. Alright. LEDs. Just tracking up towards my face now. Give you an idea of how that looks in shadow. Around this way, everybody got confused by the wall there. Looks like it's on. Alright. LEDs. Just tracking up towards my face now. Give you an idea of how that looks in shadow. Now that we've seen what our video samples are like, one extra that I want to bring to your attention is something you might not have considered, and that's what happens if more than one object walks through frame. And this is where we get to the tale of two different cameras. No pun intended. First, I ran this test while not utilizing my Wyze subscription. And that means it's just going to track motion. And if you're just tracking motion, it gets confused very easily, very quickly. What do I mean? Well, my wife and I walked in front of this camera, passed by multiple times, and whoever was closest to the camera is who it started tracking, whether I started first or she started first, and it even got confused when my cat jumped up on my window and the blinds moved. It decided to start tracking that. Now that's only if you don't have a Wyze subscription and you're just relying on motion. If you have a Wyze subscription and you're doing person detection, it does a much better job of locking on to the first person that comes into the frame, and the blinds did not trip it up. However, you do need the Wyze subscription to have those types of results. Now, with any camera, there are going to be some cons, and I want to point out some of the ones that I found. First and foremost being, this review almost didn't happen because the power brick that came with this camera wouldn't start this camera. I tried multiple cables and ended up narrowing in on the power brick as being the issue. I tried 4 different power bricks that I had lying around the house to get full functionality from this. And while some of the power bricks I had were enough to get things going, if I didn't use one that was a high enough wattage, the LEDs, if they were on and tracking somebody, would freeze the camera up. Now, it should not be up to me to have to find a power brick that works to make this operate. It should ship with one. And you know what? It could be just a quality assurance problem, but Wyze, not everybody's going to go through the effort of looking into what's causing the problem. They're going to see that this doesn't work, they can't set it up, and they're just going to ship it back. And honestly, if I wasn't going to use this for somebody else who enjoys Wyze cameras, I would have done the same thing. The movement sound while tracking. You heard it. It's a lot louder than a lot of other things that I have tested recently. And I get it. Wyze keeps their hardware costs low, so you're not going to have specific dampening for sound, but I feel it could have been a little better. And one of the big things that I've dinged Wyze on for a few years now, and yes, I understand, I don't begrudge them trying to make money. I understand. That's how the company keeps going forward. However, the fact that they still continue to keep basic AI detection for persons and pets locked behind their subscription service is downright appalling in this day and age. Especially when I was doing my multiple person trick to see what the camera would do. The fact that I was relying solely on motion meant that it got confused a lot. And if you are just starting out in the Wyze ecosystem, then that's going to look really bad for this camera. If you're already in the ecosystem, then you know what you're getting into and probably already have their multi-cam plan. I wanted to bring that data point to your attention in case this is the first Wyze camera that you are looking at. In conclusion, if you like Wyze cameras and are already locked into the Wyze ecosystem, then the dual lens camera is very helpful. However, myself, Wyze has continued to have quality assurance issues and shortcomings that I don't find with many other manufacturers. Each and every time I have tested a new camera from them, I have been left wanting better. So personally, I feel there are better options out there that work correctly right out of the box and don't nickel and dime you for their services. If I did not get this with the intention of giving it to a coworker that is already in the Wyze ecosystem and doesn't want to move, I would not have gotten it for myself. However, if I have not dissuaded you from the dual pan tilt camera, I will have a link where you can pick one up for yourself in the description area below, at the very least to help me keep testing new cameras. If you appreciate the time and effort that goes into making comprehensive videos like this, make sure to hit that like button to help other people find the video as well. If you like what I'm doing here and want to be notified of my next review, hit that subscribe button. Not sure this is the right dual pan camera for you? On screen now, you'll see 2 other reviews that I've done to help you make a more informed decision for yourself.